Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in today. I know it's a little early in the week, but with the holiday and everything going on, we decided to get a show out on Tuesday. So we kind of hinted at this, or we put the pub out late Sunday yesterday. We've kind of had it in the works since I guess last Friday, right? I think you guys played Thursday night, right? Last week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got three of the Refugio Bobcats with us: quarterback Caleb Hesseltine, wide receiver, defensive back Jordan Kelley, and kind of utility player, wide receiver, running back, defensive player Antwaan Gross. How you guys doing today?
Yeah, I'm
I'm
doing
good.
good.
Pretty good. Pretty good to be practicing Thanksgiving week, right?
Yeah, it's good.
But I guess that's kind of a normal occurrence, right? If you guys aren't practicing this week, something went terribly wrong, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of a normal occurrence for you guys to be practicing on Thanksgiving week. Nothing special, kind of old hat, right?
It's been a minute since they didn't practice on Thanksgiving. I think
Yeah.
even 3 years ago when they bowed out to Mason, they were still practicing Thanksgiving. That was what, round 4?
Yeah, we usually practice Thanksgiving when we play Shiner, but now that we play round 4 Shiner, then practicing for a different team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's go. I guess let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the season first off, right? So I mean, obviously, it's been a very, very weird season. Um, you guys played all your home games on the road this year, right? Let's on top of a COVID season at that, right? So let's talk about that for a little bit. You know, what was it like not having a home game this year?
That's a lame. But it kind of fun though, because you be getting out of school and all that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. For me, it was a little different than probably for Antwaan and Jordan because I never gotten the experience of being able to play at home this year. I've always had to be on the road and haven't had that home crowd behind you yet this year.
You know, us playing at home, a lot of people come out and come watch us, but it's basically the same thing. We're on the road. We have real true fans that come out and watch us anywhere we play.
Yeah,
I
and it
wonder how
helped.
the crowd was.
Yeah, how was the crowd? You know, did they travel very well? You know, with the ticket rationing and whatnot this season.
Oh yeah, I think almost every game we've almost been sold out, but I don't think we've sold out any tickets. I think this week, I think we sold out.
And you guys, oh, go ahead, Spud.
I was just saying that game's in Victoria, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, on the new turf, right? Have y'all played there this season yet with the new field and whatnot?
Yes,
We
sir.
never played in Victoria.
No, sir.
Oh, y'all have never in the time you guys have been on varsity, you haven't played in Victoria at all, huh?
Not that I remember.
Oh, I
We
know
all
they've last couple of years they've had, you know, turf issues and things like that, and I've always heard complaints about the locker room and stuff, so that's understandable. But now I guess they've got that they had that deal with Frost Bank where Frost Bank sponsored they got the naming rights to the field. So now it's like Frost Bank. They've got frost all over the turf and stuff like that. Got a new upgrade to the turf and whatnot. So they could host playoff games again. So that should be pretty good. And it's more ideal for you guys. Victoria's what, 20 minutes from y'all? So it's essentially a home game.
like
That's a
45
good field. That field before the turf was even bad was ahead of its time. That was like one of the first areas to have turf down here. So it was the old school kind. You got I guess over time it wore out, but it wasn't bad. The only thing for the locker rooms, they were pretty generic. It's almost like the locker room I'm sitting in right now. Just it wasn't like nothing extravagant, you know what I mean? Just it was just nice, but it wasn't like what people made it out to be, like running water everywhere. And it was an okay stadium, and it's huge, so you can bring a lot of fans to it. So
Yeah.
I like that venue, especially for a season like this.
Yeah. So let's talk about this season, right? Were you guys even with everything going on this summer? You guys never got y'all never got shut down during the season. Didn't have to forfeit a game or anything like that, right? So what's it been like so far? You know, with all these restrictions and whatnot. How have your practices been? You know, how's game prep been and things like that? Has anything changed?
Most of it's been the same, but we have to have like a built-in bye week because of COVID. And we before last week we were going 3 weeks without even playing, and every team will come out rusty when you go 3 weeks without playing. So it was kind of hard for us.
Yeah, you guys did have. I forgot about that. You guys did have 3 weeks, right? So y'all had the bye week, and then y'all had the forfeit for the first round, and then did somebody canceled, right? Somebody canceled the season in
Yeah,
y'all's district as well. So what was that like? I didn't y'all's game, most of y'all games have been streamed by Real Sports, all your road games, your home games this year, and it's a little different come playoff time. So we haven't got to see you guys really play since the regular season finished. What was that like coming off of 3 weeks? Was it just like riding a bike? No, everything was hitting, or did you guys have to kind of find your groove again?
It took us a couple drives to find our groove again, but yeah, everything went pretty smooth from there on out.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard sitting there for 3 weeks not getting to play though, and then trying to get back in the mood. It's almost like the season's been over with once you've hit at least a week off. So that's props to y'all for coming back out like y'all were.
Everybody was mad when they heard that Rivera canceled because of COVID.
I bet. A lot of ticked off fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
True, and that's so lame. Practicing all the time.
Yeah, but and from I guess from a gearing up standpoint, I mean, you guys had 2 weeks to get ready for your opponent. Your Flatonia was your first round opponent, and I guess you guys and obviously it paid off because that was a pretty big win for you guys last week. Jordan and Antwaan, you guys have been starters the last couple of years. Caleb, this is your first year starting, and what's it been like? You had some pretty big shoes to fill coming on this year, right? So a lot of expectations. What's it been like?
Yes, sir. It started with just hard work in the summer with me and my receivers. We were throwing routes almost daily, and being able to just watch Austin in practice last year and just try to mimic what he does that makes him so good. It really helped me a lot throughout the year, and just trusting my coaches and believing in what they say.
What do you guys think? You guys were on the receiving end, right? What did you guys think about it?
Yeah, game by game, he's getting better and better every single game. And you're right, he does have some tough shoes to fill from Austin Ochoa, but by the time he's senior year, he's definitely gonna be up there with him.
Antwaan, you're laughing. What you got, bud?
Nothing. Sure. He been doing good. I ain't gonna cap. He been doing good every game. He getting better every game. Know what to do. Trusting us. Mainly because Jordan and I be getting on him sometimes. Just tell him trust us. We gonna do it and all that. But he doing really better. I like his improvements.
You've essentially, Caleb, come out not looking like a first year starter. And Justin and I, after the season finished last year, and looking at who you guys had coming back and what you guys were losing, I'm not going to lie. I thought you guys were going to struggle this year, and Justin, Justin knows a lot of folks from Refugio. He's had some family that grew up back there that he grew up with from there, and we worked with a couple of guys that are from Refugio, and they said, "Nah, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right." But I was, I've got to see the product before I make an assessment. But just going off of everything, off of what you guys lost and whatnot, I thought y'all were going to struggle, and y'all didn't. Y'all took care of business. And I think it goes back to kind of what you guys kind of hit on already. It's the off season, and Refugio. It's not just the Coastal Bend name. That's a name that's known statewide, right? And you guys are part of the tradition, and you guys have grown up there mostly. What do you guys think makes y'all different? What makes Refugio in
Our work
y'all's
ethic.
opinion?
I would have to say definitely the weight room and how we approach it.
What do you mean? Expand on that a little bit, Jordan.
Like, we go in the weight room every day looking to get a lot bigger, faster, and stronger. That's what our coaches always tell us. And
Oh, we lost you. We lost you.
Already.
Oh, you got coaching staff starting to mute you now, man, or something, right?
Try it now.
You guys want to pick up where he was leaving off? I think you guys had
Yeah.
kind of the same idea.
I just feel like our coaches, they do a really good job getting us ready for the next year. They're always on top of us about working hard, staying in the weight room, and it really just it helps us for next year.
Let's see. Can you hear us now, Bill?
Yeah, let me leave this.
There you go.
All right, that's better. You want to finish your thought?
Yeah, it's just how we approach the weight room. We work out about 3 or 4 times each week, and our coaches say to get bigger, faster, and stronger. And that's what we go in the weight room thinking.
So what are your summers like? Right. So when we were out there a couple of years ago, we talked to Coach Cox and Coach Boxell. And one of the biggest things they stressed to us is that, during the summertime, the facility's open. And it's not just the varsity kids that are out there and the JV kids that are out there. You've got kids that are in elementary, Pee Wee League starting up pickup games out there. I think they told us one time, what was it, Justin? They had about 80 kids out there,
Probably.
something like that, 60 to 80 kids out there just playing pickup football. You know what? You don't see that a lot, right? In other communities. What is it? What do you guys think it is there?
I would have to say it's just them looking up to us. They look forward to being a Bobcat like when they get older, and so you see about 40 to 50 people on the field playing football, and they definitely look up to older people.
That's the good question. What does it mean to y'all to be a Refugio Bobcat? From the time you're little to the time that you're in high school like you are right now, what does it mean to be a Bobcat?
I just think it's the tradition it has. I mean, if you look at it, there's just been success throughout the year. Just being able to play with the Refugio on your chest, it's a little something, means something to you.
Jordan?
Yeah, it definitely means a lot, but like Caleb said, it's the tradition. I think we've won 5 state championships in our program, and being good also comes with the consequence, which Refugio's always going to have a target on their back because everybody wants to beat Refugio.
That's what I was going to ask. What's it like having that big target on your back every year?
It just motivates us.
Every week, really, every year, every week.
Sometimes, and I'm not insinuating nothing here, but when teams have success like this, I'm not dogging referees or officials. There's also times where you don't get calls because of who you are, and that is the truth. I haven't seen enough games every year consecutively. I mostly pick up in the playoff run just because of schedule and whatnot. But teams tend to get calls and don't get calls. It's like LeBron; he don't get a lot of calls because of who he is, and vice versa. So, I guess this is a good one for Antwaan and Jordan because Caleb hasn't had this yet. But what's it like to win a state title? What's that feeling?
It feels good.
It's I don't know. I don't really know how to explain the feeling. You put in all that work for 16 straight games, and you finally get awarded.
Shoot, that turned to my dream. My dream was always to win state. When I was little, I used to watch Kyle Murray win state, and I always want to do that. I went there, we won state. I was really happy.
So when you guys were there, now obviously you guys play on different days than everybody else. You don't play the same days as the as the bigger schools, the 5As and the 6As and stuff. But what is it like? Walking in there as Refugio, walking into Cowboy Stadium, and all eyes are on y'all, right? Because of the myth that's I don't want to call it a myth, but the I guess the aura that's with Refugio football. Do you guys feel other teams looking at y'all, watching y'all and things like that, of other classifications and whatnot?
Yeah, I know a lot of people from around South Texas and everything, so I definitely feel like they watch our games and everything. Because the support in South Texas is unreal. If we get knocked out, then we're gonna go support another team from South Texas and hope they win state.
What do you guys, you bring that up. What do you guys think? I'm going to ask y'all's opinion right now, not picking games, but what do you think of the teams that are in the playoffs that are left in the Coastal Bend right now? You think they got some pretty good shots at moving a little further?
Yeah, I think right now there's only 16 teams left, and I think like Miller, they beat the number 2 team. Cal Allen, all those teams can play, and I think they have a real good shot.
Oh, for sure. I think Miller and Cal Allen got a couple more rounds, or at least a rematch coming. But we'll see, right? Yeah. I know you don't want to. I know they don't want y'all looking past this game, but how big is a rematch with Shiner for y'all on y'all's book?
That's big, real big.
Was that game last year harder than the state title game, or no?
Yeah, most definitely.
That was hard, man.
That's what the talk was. It was the region final was the state championship.
Yeah,
and it's too bad that y'all couldn't end it that way, where y'all would play each other for the title. But man, we caught the last. What did we see? The last 5 minutes of that game, Spud. The fourth quarter, about halfway through the fourth quarter, is where we saw it.
No, I saw the whole game.
You went? Didn't you go?
I didn't go. Remember that game was the afternoon game was Miller Vets, and then I got home and I went and watched with Ryan and Alexa the Shiner Refugio game on that NFHS.
Yeah,
because Joseph was on the team.
Yeah, I saw the last 5 minutes, and that was probably the craziest 5 minutes of football that I had seen in a while. With the way that ended, and a lot of questions, right, on the way that game ended. But y'all came out on top, and everybody knows the rest of the story from there, right? So obviously the goal is to repeat this year, right? I don't think Refugio's ever had a back-to-back state championship.
Never in school
back-to-back, but they didn't win back-to-back.
Right, they went back-to-back, and that was
we won 2016 and they lost 2017 to Mark.
Yeah. So what's that like? Is there a lot of talk about that?
Right now it's mainly just taking it game by game, week by week, and of course we got to win this coming Friday, but next week that's going to be the game to look for.
Outside of you and Antwaan, how much more experience do y'all have on both sides of the ball right now from last year's team?
I think we have a couple. Well, they didn't start, but they definitely rotated in last year, like offense and defense. So I would say about 4 or 5 that we were returning from both sides.
That's good. That's still good numbers.
Yeah, but like y'all said, Refugio, they're, it's one of a kind, and a lot of people just step up and do their job, and it's like we didn't lose anybody.
Caleb, how was that adjustment to varsity for you, that first game, that speed? There's a difference.
Yeah, it's definitely different from JV speed. It was just trusting my receivers and just trusting the coaches too. And they're one of the best coaching staffs in the state. And I just had to take everything they gave me.
Right now, what's y'all's? If you were to grade your team, what would you say your greatest strength is right now as a team?
Defense.
Defense.
I think our defense is only giving up about 6 points a game. But offense is definitely strong too, but our defense is pretty solid.
How was that adjustment for you, Jordan? Coming in your freshman year, you were looking at being quarterback, and then, Austin comes to town, and you got switched out to receiver, which I feel like personally you're a better all around athlete anyways for that role. How was that for you? Did you want to be a quarterback, or did you just finally accept it? You know what? I'm a good athlete. I'm gonna rock with being a receiver, running back.
I was just doing what my coaches said, trusting them, and just doing whatever I can to help the team best.
Are you the backup?
Sir?
Are you the backup?
Quarterback?
Yeah.
It's either me or Isaiah Avery,
Okay.
number 10.
Avery, is he related to the other Avery that was there in Refugio a few years ago?
Yeah,
I'm pretty
I
sure.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? I mean, you got a lot of the same names that go through the program, and that's the other thing, right? It's a lot of families, a lot of the same families that put kids through the program, and kind of piggies back on what you said, right? They don't want to be that team that lets the other one down. We know that there's always, and it's no secret. Colin always talks about the 2000 what was it 2014 team, Bud?
15.
Was it 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that they always, we don't this is going to be a 2014 year. We don't want to be that team. We don't want to be that team.
Oh, it was probably 14. You're talking about when they just had a horrible season?
Yeah.
That was 14. They broke the record or whatever it was.
Yeah. But yeah, nobody ever wants to be that team. Guys, you guys got anything else for us before we go? I know we didn't we were kind of all over the place on this one. But
Oh, sir.
Appreciate y'all for having us on here.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
guys, again, we appreciate you guys taking the time out. And I know you guys have practices and stuff. Like, you guys just got done with practice like not too long ago, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got practice like maybe around 1.
Yeah, so you guys are off this week. And then a big game. You guys play Saturday or do you guys play Friday? Friday in Victoria against Ganado. Guys, it should be a good one. Ganado's a 6-4 team. They've lost. They have 3 quality losses, to Hallettsville. Who were the other 2, Spud?
Hallettsville Industrial Shiner.
Yeah, so quality losses. So the record's a little deceiving. I think you guys match up pretty well. You guys actually have a same opponent in Flatonia. They came out with a victory over Flatonia 28-10 in week 10 or week 10. But that's why you guys play the game, right? I know. Anything can happen. But guys, again, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day. I know you guys are busy, game prep and whatnot. Guys, good luck this week. Bring the win home and advance because we want to see that game next week. That's just us.
Sir. Appreciate you for having us.
Yeah, guys. Thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate it.
Hey, what Spud, they've got some pretty good assessments there on who they think can go pretty far. I mean, it's not anything different than what we're saying right now.
Oh yeah, you know when they keep up with it. When
the playoff talk comes up, I know we don't really do it anymore as we did the last couple of years where we do a rehash of whatnot, the games and everything. But if you guys didn't see that Miller Lampasas game, we were there, and it's not because we get called Miller homers a lot. It's not because we're Miller homers or anything. Meanwhile, Spud's got the Miller locker room in his background. I mean, that was a big game. All eyes were on that. All eyes across the state were on that game.
Oh, there's tons of people shocked.
Oh man, performance from the ages for Andrew Body. Ace Whitehead put on a pretty good show as well. You don't really see these games. They're talking about these games. When you see these matchups on paper, it's going to be that should be a good one. It's going to be a high scoring game. A lot of times it doesn't really work out that way. It's usually one-sided.
Yeah.
And this one was everything it was advertised. And I
think it almost was. It almost wasn't though, because for a little while there, the control of that game was never in Lampasas' hands after realistically their first drive, they drove down.
Yeah.
They got bailed out on a big play. And then they got inside the red zone. They push. To me, it was great play calling from Lampasas, and they scored. I was sitting there and thinking, okay, 7-0. And then, Miller comes out and they come out with a false start. And I think they might have had 2 false starts right off the bat. And
Yeah.
and oh man, is the game too big or is the moment too big right now? Are they getting a little cold feet? Because you gotta keep in mind, Miller's not really been in big game situations like as big as that. I think that was almost a little bit bigger than the Vets game last year.
I think so too.
Just in the sense of that was a higher ranked opponent. A lot of people already doubted them in it. They had already beat Vets last year. So as big a game that was, I think this was a huger moment on the road. That much fan support, which was great to finally see from both sides. And then, after that drive, Lonnie scored that touchdown. And then, Miller's defense comes out and I think they 3-and-outed Lampasas, and then they come right back down. They score again. And it was like they got up a 14-7 game. And really, for the longest time, they never looked back. I don't think Lampasas ever had the lead after that, ever.
No, they didn't. After that first drive,
it got to where it was stretched a couple scores. Give Lampasas credit. I think anyone who watched that game could realize that the Ace Whitehead you saw in the second half was the Ace Whitehead that won 4A offensive player or player of the year last year. And in the first half, Miller's defense did a really good job of just bottling him up. So, you saw the potential of what that defense can do to a team. And then you saw the potential needed to beat that team is high. You have to have a really good group of players to beat this Miller team when they're clicking like that. That's one of the best games I've seen the Bucks play all year from start to finish. They had 1 turnover, which, I mean,
what's a textbook? It was a textbook play.
There was a hell of a strip.
Yep.
Late in the fourth quarter on a kid like Andrew, who's been, essentially he gave it 110% from start to finish. So
playing both ways.
Yeah. And then if you look at the penalty aspect from it, they were off the top of my head, I can't really remember how many penalties Miller had. So, it wasn't a lot. They played a really clean game.
Yeah. Both sides, there wasn't really a whole lot of penalties in that game at all.
No.
So either the refs let them play or they just played very well.
Is Brandon joining us or no?
Yeah, he's here now. So we're talking about the Miller game. We've got Brandon Holland in the waiting room right now from the Along the Wire podcast. He covers a lot of teams in the San Antonio area. We had him on the podcast. Was it last year? Year before?
Yeah, we had him on last year.
And about the same time, when I guess it was Vets playing San Antonio Vets, right?
Because we're looking at Wagner.
Yeah,
playing our Vets last year, and then we had a couple other teams. I believe he was talking Bernie Champion and Cal Allen and whatnot. So
let's go ahead and let's let him in, and he, we can talk about this one just a little more. He can give us his side of it, but let's go ahead and get him in here. Hey, there he is.
Yay. There we go. First of all, what's up with the chain? Let's see the chain. Oh, yeah.
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, Brandon?
Hey, man, I'm feeling good.
Good, man. So like we said, this is Brandon Holland from the Along the Wire podcast, web show, YouTube show, guys all over the place.
Texas Longhorn Insider.
Texas Longhorn, UTSA,
Right.
Recruitnik over there, influencer, whatever you want to call it, whatever the word is today.
Right. Exactly.
Brandon's joining us today to talk a little playoffs. Brandon, before we let you in, we were talking about the Miller Lampasas game. Just kind of giving a little recap of anybody who didn't watch it, and I hope a lot of the folks did watch it. Just kind of what we saw. What we were just kind of talking about how Miller really controlled the whole game.
They did, and it was good to see them come from behind because they were down 7-0 and then just totally take control. With Lonnie getting the interception, and then the very next play, you love to see teams attack. Like every single game that you watch, if you're that close to the other team's end zone, you say go for it. And to actually see them do it
and score a touchdown right after the interception was awesome. That was probably the best game that I've been at since the Steele Judson game last year. That was 50-48. Or maybe the Marshall versus Denton Ryan state championship game too.
That was a good one.
You know, Jeff Dubroff, giving a Jeff Dubroff shout out here. We were talking right after probably the most important drive of that ball game was that opening drive of the second quarter or the second half. That was probably Miller's best drive they had all season, you know, in my opinion, because, you know, we talked about it last week, Spud, how, you know, we always thought Miller had an identity crisis. They want to run the ball. They actually did it very effective on that drive. And they did what they wanted to do. What they were trying to do throughout the season was eat clock.
Exactly.
And keep the ball out of the playmakers' hands. And that's exactly what they did. And that really set the tone for the second half. There was some things that probably could have been done different, you know, as far, because they had almost a 20-point lead.
Exactly.
At one point, and it kind of got whittled away.
And I talked about it on my show this past weekend was and I talked about it with the coach, and he gave me a different point of view of them kind of being like the Texas Tech teams of the past, because I liked exactly how you said the start of the second half, them coming out and eating up that clock. You like to see them actually being able to do that because they were up by 2 scores and then they go up by 3 scores. But then towards the end of the game, I'm like, okay, why are you still hiking the ball with 17 seconds left? I know you have faith in your offense, but they at that point they were giving up yards, you know, like that's what you're supposed to do on defense. It just wasn't a good look. So I was a little bit worried about that. But then for them to step up on that 4th and 1 right there, that's a testament to them digging in and actually being able to get it done right there when it counted. I didn't understand Lampasas being in the shotgun to go for 4th and like less than half a yard, but hey.
You know, that's something we've harped on since we started this thing. You know, you got those 4th and 1s, and I think we talked about it last year with you on the show, Brandon. You know, get these 4th and 1s, and you line up in the shotgun. You know, and you're already 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage to get a yard.
Right.
It is crazy because a lot of teams I think do that because sometimes they don't have an under center, or if they do, they're not comfortable with it because they run shotgun 99% of the time. Lampasas, if you remember in the first quarter of that game, they actually wasn't the first quarter. At some point in time, they quarterback sneaked one with Ace at the goal line, and he moved in. I mean, easily. Yeah. My only thought on that would just be the fact that they at the time were moving the ball in the air a little bit better than they had all game. It kind of leaves you not to be able to stuff the box, and when you have an athletic quarterback like Ace, I mean, I kind of could see that point. It gives him more of an avenue. If you actually watch that game or the re-highlight of it, and then this ain't taken away from Miller, this ain't taken away from Lampasas, there's a very good angle on it where, you know, and it's so bang, he probably never even saw it, but he had the left side wide open. And it goes back to the Rockport. Like that play was called to go up the middle. Yeah. And Miller's defense, they blew it up. The D lineman blew that up perfectly. You know, and people are going to sit there and watch it after the fact of, well, he could have went to the left side and had probably like 5 yards. Well, it happened so fast, you know, that's just not how it plays out. He was doing the play design, but there's always that possibility in the shotgun. And you're under center, you know, you got one chance to go up the middle. And if you look at that Miller D line, they're built so big in the interior that we're spreading them out and making yourself have a little more chance with a quarterback like Ace is probably why they went that route. I was worried. I was so worried because it was late in the game. They were tired. A lot of those boys on that D-line go both ways. They play offensive line too.
I noticed that too.
And that Lampasas O-line was big. and Ace is slippery, and he's just one of them dudes. And I was sitting there watching it, and he got hit, and I'm thinking to myself, he didn't get it. And the coach from Lampasas was right next to me, and he had the camera up top, and he said he didn't get it. He didn't get it. He said he there's no way he got it. And then yeah, he could tell. So I was sitting there like kind of happy underneath my. I wasn't showing it, but I was happy. And of course, he even made the comment, he's like, maybe they'll mess the chains up. And they didn't. And that was one of the best stops I've seen all season. And that game, man, was just.
Tell me that
something.
Tell me that Coach John didn't deserve that one. After the year he's had, the coach Eric John's the defensive coordinator there, and you saw some of the scores, Brandon, the last couple games, giving up 70 something points,
Right.
70 something points. He kind of took a beating, internally, from the fans and everybody.
Hard.
Yeah.
And
hard.
good for him, man. Good for him. Good for those guys to step up and make those plays. Groceries broke that play down. I saw it on a comment because somebody said the same thing you said, but he had the outside was open, and Groceries is that offensive line guy, and he's like, that's a gap power. If he's supposed to follow the guard on that play, and I went back and watched it, and that right guard slipped out, led to the left side, and that's where Ace went, followed the guard, but the DL plugged that hole so fast from where that guard pulled and just blew it up.
Yep.
Right.
Which
I got to give it to Miller for that, because low man wins, and they filled the gap, and it was there.
So if you look at that Lampasas team, I'm getting ahead of it, because I know you're probably on with it. The matchups for this week.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, now I'm not talking about our team down here. I don't see a team in this region built all around as good as Lampasas was. I'm not saying they were the end all be all, but I was telling Jacob beforehand, I watched a couple games on Bernie yesterday. I watched LBJ play. I've seen Cal Allen play. I think if you're talking about all those teams of LBJ, Bernie, and Cal Allen, I think Cal Allen's the best one left. I think Miller's playing that good right now. Like I was telling a couple people, Lloyd has finally hit that stride again. Lonnie's playing
lights out.
Lonnie's on a whole nother planet right now playing, and Andrew's playing the way I think Andrew's been built to play the last 4 years. Right? It's he's finally hitting that peak, that moment of where it's his time.
Or give me 30 seconds real quick.
He's got one of the next DXR racers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comfort chair.
Yeah. Hey, so guys, we're getting caps made, right? You guys saw the caps we had. We're pushing out, right? We're getting caps made, but you guess what?
Hard order on them.
They're gonna be limited edition, right? We're gonna kind of ration these things out. We're gonna make it the must have item. So every now and then, every couple months, we're gonna come out with a different design, and it's gonna be we'll drop them when they're gone. They're gone. That's all you're gonna get, right? I think the next one's gonna be spring, right before spring break. Spud.
Spring break.
Yeah, right before spring break.
All right, back guys. Sorry.
All right, man. Go ahead, Spud. Finish your thought.
No, I just look at that team from Lampasas on film, and they were just solid across the board. That number 2 ranking was well deserved. They were, I'm pretty sure, very shocked they lost that ball game. I'm pretty sure their fan base was very shocked they lost that ball game. I think even big media in Texas were shocked that they lost that ball game. I just think Miller's playing right now at the level that we thought they were capable of all year. And like I think I was telling AC, and I want to say I told Brandon during the game, what makes them so dangerous right now is they've seen the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, and they've went through all that adversity and they still to this day right now, they don't get the respect they deserve after beating Lampasas. You have people saying, oh, well, Lampasas is overrated. Oh, Miller got lucky. This and that, right? And they're not the best team. They lost to Cal Allen on Port Lavaca. Realistically, that Port Lavaca.
Who hasn't? Who hasn't lost to those guys?
I'm sick of the Cal Allen loss being a staple that people hang on to. They had 4 turnovers in that game and barely lost. I want that rematch to happen. I think it'd be a hell of a game if they rematch that, run that back again.
Yeah. But folks are making it sound like because they lost to Cal Allen and Port Lavaca that they're terrible. But who hasn't lost to Cal Allen and Port Lavaca? Right? I mean,
exactly.
I know a school didn't.
Well, yeah. Going into that one. So with that, and Port Lavaca was without Steve Johnson that game. Their fullback got hurt during practice. He suited up, didn't touch the field. So it was the Jarius Stewart show who again put the team on his back and did what he could. I think that first play from scrimmage busted out a 90-yard touchdown run. But you put Steve Johnson in that game and it's a different ball game. But that's football, right? I mean, that's part of what happens, injuries and you got to play, right? And you got to hopefully not hang your hat on one or two players. But yeah, so Bernie, right, Brandon? So the ins and outs of these guys, right? You got Spud's take on what he saw by watching film the last couple of days. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are I kind of backtracked. I know I was caught up in the moment on the field. That was I was like, man, I'm not sure what Bernie has, but then I go back and I look and exactly how y'all were saying, you have a team in Miller that's seeing the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and coming off of this win Overland Passes, I don't think that they won't be focused, but I think that they're going up against a school in Bernie that is the exact polar opposite of themselves in the fact that they don't look at who they're playing on their jersey. I think the only time that they may have been caught up in like who they're playing is them losing to a now 5-5 Fredericksburg team by 1 point. So I know that being a rivalry game, everything goes out the window. That's how a 9-2 team can lose to a 5-5 squad is if they live across the street from each other. So I definitely think that Bernie will be confident in their running game. Rashawn Galloway is a load. He is very agile for his size. He doesn't shy away from contact. But I think in the end, I still don't think Bernie's seen a team like Corpus Christi Miller with the skill across, especially at the receiver position. I think it's going to be a very good game. If there's a receiver to watch out for, it's going to be Riley Pachacek. I always struggle saying his name. Riley Pachacek, number 15. He's got about 800 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns this year. That's their biggest passing threat. Is him, but and they have four guys with over 20 receptions, and I think they match up pretty well. But I want to see how this Bernie defense is going to do, because I mean, if you just look at the numbers in the combined games of their common opponents, I know the player was out for Port Lavaca, but they've only given up 37 points in the 2 games versus the same 2 teams that Miller's faced and given up like 152 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to come down to if Bernie's defense can handle the pressure, and seeing if Rashawn Galloway, I know he's the quarterback, and I hate even taking little critiques on kids, but baseball is his first passion, and you see that when he throws a football as well. So that actual touch, like the touch passing, all the finesse that you would need in the quarterback position, I think he still has to work on some of it. But he's got a cannon for an arm. They will stretch the field and throw it deep, but I think versus Miller, there was too much seen there that I think they feel confident in running the football versus Miller.
That's my takeaway. I don't think they got, like, just watching them on film, and this is why I think the matchups I don't think the matchups as close as it was for the Lampasas game for Miller, because and that's because I gave Lampasas corners a lot more credit than what they may have deserved at the moment in that game. But it's just, you got Lonnie and Adrian out the outside on receiver and on DB, which they go both ways, and that's probably the biggest knock I have for this team is when they get further in playoffs, having to go both ways hurts you. I don't see the corners or the receivers, in that matter, from Bernie matching them up very well. So the biggest thing that Bernie's going to have to do is probably move the ball on the ground. Right. But the problem I have with that is Jack Jerome was a pretty good running back for Lampasas, and Ace Whitehead was a more athletic with a better arm than Rashawn, way faster than Rashawn ever thought about being. Right. That's not knocking Galloway. I was thinking Galloway was going to be a little more athletic until I started watching the film on him yesterday, and that's what started making me wonder, like, okay, maybe I was giving Bernie a lot more credit because they beat Port Lavaca without Steve. I think it's going to be a good game. I just think right now that if you were to just look at it on paper and film, that, mind you, Miller cannot come in overlooking this team because this team's still in the third round of the playoffs. I just think their matchups across the board, like that offensive line for Miller, I think is going to have enough power to wash away that D-line, or at least give Andrew time. Mm-hmm. I wasn't particularly impressed with Bernie's offensive line either. Like, just looking at them size-wise, there's no one on that offensive line. Like, you're like, right, man, they got some hitters on that O-line, right? Exactly. So that also kind of worries me for Bernie. Big thing is Jabril playing D-line now with Deshaun healthy up front. That's why you saw Miller, and then they bring in Big Country. That's why you saw Miller's D-line causing so much problems for that Lampasas O-line at times. Yeah. You keep in mind, Lampasas had an offensive guard that was ranked a 3 or 4 star going to Rice, I want to say, to play O-line. And they got a lot of pressure on Ace, and he wasn't comfortable all game. So I just kind of feel like with Rashawn not being quite as athletic as Ace is, and like you said, that the passing, I don't think they can throw it as much, because with touch passing, you can put that ball into tight windows. You kind of throw a ball up there that's not so tight against a guy like Lonnie or Adrian at that, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for you. And that's why I kind of just felt like when you go into this matchup, I tend to, Lampasas was a hell of a good team. I don't think people realize how solid across the board they were. They were disciplined. They were good size, good speed across it. They had a tremendous athlete quarterback. I just think, they're a better team than what Bernie's going to bring Friday. Now, Bernie, obviously, 9-2. They are a good team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not liking their matchups if I'm a Bernie fan versus if I'm a Miller fan looking at this game like on film.
What exactly? Which I think just leads back into, I think that's something that they've heard like for the entire season. So I think Coach Hendricks uses that to get the most out of his guys, because they might not have had the toughest schedule, but I look at games like them playing against Burnett. They beat Burnett twice, and not only did they beat them twice, but they beat them by more the second time. Those can kind of be games when, like, of course, it's playoffs time, and Burnett wants some get back, and just to not have any chance of getting that is pretty impressive. So I think I'm going to be interested in the schemes that Bernie has in trying to stop that passing game of Miller. But all in all, I do feel like this is the point where Bernie's season is going to end. It's just going to be. I want to see how that first half goes. I want to see how half goes.
If Miller, here's the thing. Miller comes out and plays to the level they did against Lampasas, which I've been telling him, this is the level they're capable of. We finally saw them like hit that, like, man,
Right.
here they are. Limit the penalties, limit your turnovers. This Miller team is very, very dangerous. They come out making them penalties and turnovers, which I get that. It's cliche. That's every team. But there are some teams that, they're built to like the North Shore is a prime example, right? They could come out, probably have 15 penalties, 3 turnovers, and probably still win a game. It might not be that blowout you're used to, but they're more than likely going to win. That takes a different style team to be able to do that.
Exactly.
OBJ and Judson, they're the same way. Or I'm sorry, Wagner and Judson the last couple years, they were built that way,
Definitely.
So I told him, I said, man, just the fact they were able to come out in that big of a moment, limit the turnovers, limit the penalties, and it showed. They were able to knock off what I think was probably the best team in this region going into the playoffs. Now you got to finish it out, right? You can't slip up to Bernie. You can't overlook them. Obviously, you cannot overlook LBJ and Cal Allen. I was watching also film on the Cal Allen LBJ matchup. Cal Allen and that Canyon, I think Canyon Lake matched up against Cal Allen better than LBJ does when it comes to size and everything. My biggest problem with that team was they didn't have as much speed, and that's what I think ultimately ended them, because they broke off a couple big plays to get a lead against Cal Allen, where you thought, okay, Cal Allen's dead in the water, and then they made their comeback.
Well, Cal Allen didn't do themselves any favors with all the penalties they were committing, all those false starts, and
and that's the biggest thing.
It was a very, very sloppy game by Cal Allen.
I think Cal Allen is going to give LBJ fits. I really do. I don't think LBJ is disciplined enough, and honestly, outside of Makuba and Latrell, I'm not seeing no one on there that I'm like just blown. I think the quarterback's pretty good. I think he's underrated. I want to say his last name is Johnson, maybe, or no, is it Donaldson?
Jones.
The running back. They got a running back that's pretty good too.
Oh, I'm not sure on LBJ's running back.
But see, like, but even at that, like, their offensive line and defensive lines just aren't like, they're not an intimidating front like you get with Cal Allen. Cal Allen's got a good offensive line. I think they end LBJ's season as well this week. Now they come out and make the penalties and stuff like that, and they don't clamp down on the trail, then it could be a long night for Cal Allen as well. But I feel like the matchup definitely looks a lot better for Cal Allen than it does LBJ across the board.
So what's this game look like overall to you? Is it a game that's close early, or is it just Miller's running from out the gate?
Bernie and Miller, man, I think it's at the end of the game, I think it's a 3-score differential for Miller. I think they win by 3 scores. That's the type of differential I see in this game. It might be close in that first quarter or so. I just don't think Bernie's got enough dogs to hang with him the full game like you saw in Land Passes. And I don't think if they get down a couple scores, I don't think they got the talent level of an ace to bring them back like they did. That's because I think the Bernie team's a pretty good team. It all depends on the Miller we get.
Matchups,
that's the biggest thing, man.
The thing that worries me about it is the hangover game, right? You just beat the number 2 team in state the week before, and the overconfidence. That's what worries me about this game. You hear about it all the time, and you see it. These hangover games, you come off this big win, you have this big high, and you just come out flat that next week.
And speaking of that, I've been thinking about that the entire time listening to y'all speak, because I think that those 4 losses is kind of the deterrent to that. They've experienced loss before, so yeah, they beat Lampasas, but they know what it's like to lose. So I think that that's kind of that antidote to that symptom of trying to overlook anybody. Is the fact that you've been beaten before. So it's not like, yeah, we beat the number 2 squad, but hey, y'all have also lost several times.
Yeah, and they lost to a Rockport team who's a good Rockport team, but it's a game they shouldn't have lost.
Mm-hmm.
In all honesty, they shouldn't have lost that game. It was a bad loss for Miller. Very good win for Rockport. But it's just like you said. Yeah, they've seen it. They've gone into a game where they were probably looking ahead. I think they had vets the next week.
Yeah.
Right, Justin? Yeah, they had vets the next week.
Because they lost 2 in a row.
What's that?
They had lost 2 in a row.
Yeah, it was Rockport. Then they went in and lost to vets. Yeah.
Yeah.
That vets team is good. That's a team we're gonna be talking about again whenever their playoffs kick off and we start seeing y'all schools. I believe it's Wagner again, right? Or no, did Wagner get moved?
Wagner 6A.
Who's in 5A? You got anyone in 5A D1 you think is gonna match up with vets?
I'm not sure if Southside will, or anybody from SAISD. I'm not sure if they will. If anybody, it would probably be Southside.
That's a good vet squad.
Because they've only really got to play 5 games this year.
Yeah, I saw Coach Lockett said they've got to share the district title already because a lot of the forfeits they've had. At least they've got a share of it at least.
We saw Southside play against Rockport, and yeah, they're big. They got a good offense. They got a good quarterback. That's a good team in Southside too.
Yeah, Southside's doing some things here in San Antonio. They're going to be good for a while to come. As long as the kids keep on listening to Coach Locke, they definitely have something brewing over there on the south side.
What else is new in the San Antonio area?
Man, actually,
you got anything on Wimberley? I know it's kind of a little out of your range, but Sitton's going to be playing Wimberley Saturday afternoon at 2.
I haven't looked at anything with Wimberley. Once my the sub 5A schools that I'll pay attention to are like the Bernies, and once the season was over and the playoffs started, I kind of just geared over to 5A and 6A. So I haven't been keeping up with them, but I stay in touch with Christian Marshall. And I know they're ready from what he says, but I don't know a whole lot on them. But other than that, coming up this weekend, we got Wagner Judson. You got Johnson versus Reagan, which is going to decide 28-6A. So
Johnson's having a good year, right?
Yeah, Johnson's having a really good year. Johnson and Ty Reisner are just like the epitome of, man, they play on time and smart football. That's the word that just keeps on coming up. They are so well coached by Coach Soto out there at Johnson that they can play a close game. They can blow you out. It's kind of like playing the Spurs back when they were, in their prime, and it came down to like a 1 or 2 possession game. At the end of the game, you just knew you were going to lose because they were just so well coached that they were going to find some way to win. Yeah. That's the feel that you get with Johnson, and they're able to play different teams with multiple styles, and they just trust their coaching staff so much that it shows through on the field. They rarely make any mistakes. They got a beast at a receiver in Shane Johnson, who just committed to Sam Houston State, and of course Reisner going to Air Force. They're just a really good squad, and I think that's going to be a really great matchup against Carson Green and Trevor Price out there at Reagan and State and Ankrum. I look forward to that game as well.
Is Reagan? What's their record like this year?
Reagan, their only losses to Brennan. They're 8-1.
Okay, and then Johnson's what, 9-0?
Yeah, they're undefeated. Yeah.
They play Brennan yet or no?
No, Brennan is north side. They're actually northeast. Johnson's northeast.
Okay.
So with the district realignment, Brandeis went to northeast and Clark went to northeast, and Harlan went to north side. So that was the trade off there.
Man.
Because when Harlan moved up from 5A, they moved into north side.
And then I'm guessing I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, even though Judson's not play as many games this year, they're probably gonna wipe up Wagner, or is that?
That's still a rivalry game. I mean, they probably will beat Wagner pretty good, but man, Wagner's one of those schools that's just you gotta watch them, because if they can get over the penalties, then they're just as deep. But you're just waiting on Isaiah Williams to develop a little bit more as a passer. He has these moments in which he gets so rushed and flustered that he'll sail a ball over a guy who's right there. But then you have those moments when he'll stare down somebody who's coming right at him and hit a crossing route, and it's like, well, why couldn't you do that right here? And so I mean, it's just some growing.
Are they more? Are they coming out of the shotgun more now instead of that triple option? Or are they still running that triple option?
They're still running the triple option.
Okay.
They're still running the triple option, and I mean, and they have some passing sets in the out of the shotgun, or even some play actions out of the triple option that I wish they would use more. I really wish they would trust Isaiah. I'm not saying they don't, but it just seems as if his arm talent is there to where they could call more of a passing game, and you can slow up those backers from just crashing down every play, expecting the run, and then that helps with your run game. So if he was actually able to throw the ball a little bit more, I think Wagner would be better off for it. And 27 6A, they just had all their playoff teams finalized, so it comes down to Smithson Valley and Judson next week. If Judson beats Wagner, then Smithson Valley versus Judson is going to decide who wins the district championship next in 2 weeks.
Smithson Valley looking pretty strong this year, or?
Yeah, and they have a quarterback who switched over from playing defensive back. And he's just been running like crazy, and actually looks really good. His name's Jalen Nutt, and he's really developed as a passer. But it's that offensive line at the end of the day, when they got like three guys over 6'4" and 300 pounds, you can run left or right and do anything you want.
For sure.
So it's been fun watching Smithson Valley play this year. But then they also have their head scratchers in which they lose to a school like Wagner, but then they stomp Madison. So it's just San Antonio football is not clear outside of Judson and right now Brennan and Johnson. It's just a free for all.
I want to see Johnson play now. Now that you've talked about it, I just want to go see him and watch and see that vibe you get from watching them play.
I was trying to find your list, because you just put a list out of your top 15. And
I put the
that's
top.
That's how you get some hate mail right there.
Yeah, I put the top 25 out.
Yeah, I saw, and Johnson's number 1, Judson's number 2. But I couldn't find I thought you had the small school one too, but I couldn't, or the 5A or.
Yeah, I did about 2 weeks back, and I had Corner. See, I had Cornerstone as the top team in sub 5A in San Antonio. And that's a school they played Cal Allen and LBJ, and they beat both of them.
Yep.
And that's a school I wish they would have been able to pick up two more games at the end of the year, because they were looking for opponents, but they weren't able to find any. So
Yeah, it was so late in the game for the smaller schools because they're getting ready for playoffs and nobody's going to want to pick up a game that really doesn't mean anything and risk
Right.
injury and whatnot. And then you got the bigger schools that, let's be realistic, don't want to lose to a smaller school, because
Exactly.
the possibility was there.
Definitely. I mean, and they've got that's what I was gonna say. Just like Lonnie, there's a kid at Cornerstone. His name's Jaden Gardner, number 15. He's a little bit bigger than Lonnie, but this kid high points it. He burns people. He makes all the tough catches, and he's someone that Lucas could just drop back and bomb it to whenever he wants. Nasty receiver, he's the closest thing to Lonnie that I got the feel of. And
what do you think of Lonnie when you saw Lonnie?
yeah, that it's. I've sent his tape out to a couple of schools, and I've got feedback from a couple of coaches, D1 and D2. So I actually got a text from a coach today that said somebody was talking to him about that number 7 from Miller. And I was like, oh, this kid? And I sent the film. And so there's some recruiting services that I've reached out to. So I mean, his phone should be blowing up if it hasn't been already. So I you definitely got a good feel from that kid. And seeing him do it on defense and on offense. It was good to have that feeling at a game, especially with the year that's been happening. When you see a kid that's special, that's the feeling that I got, was this kid is special.
Yeah. And that's what they told us, man. And that's not tooting their horn, but Coach Chavez told me at the beginning of the year when I asked him, who else do we need to look out for? Because we knew Andrew's name for the last 4 years.
Right.
We knew Adrian. Last year, to me, Adrian was that kid that, like, we knew a little bit about him, maybe because of his brother Bubba, and then he just had a hell of a year where you're like, wow, like, this kid's legit. And he came out the beginning of this year just on fire. Of course, then we were real familiar with McCullion and a couple others. And that was their number one thing, was to say, remember the name, Lonnie Adkism. And it's taken us all season to finally get that last name right. But seriously, when we saw him at the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, this kid in the scrimmage, like, okay, he's pretty good, right? Like, he's matching Adrian, but Adrian was kind of going off. And then I think it was the Vets game where he had like over 200, maybe close to 300 yards receiving and like at least 15 plus catches. And we're like, they weren't even throwing to Adrian at that point. Like, it literally was like every play Lonnie was getting the ball. And then this game, I was just like, when I saw him, I was like, wow, he hit like another gear this game. Really did.
Yeah.
That was mind blowing.
And I'm sorry, I didn't send y'all the clip, but I was messaging with Lonnie, and I just put that short film together. I put it up on Twitter. I think I tagged y'all in it.
Yeah, I tweeted it out. I saw it.
Like that, like at the key points, I think that's sometimes goes undersold on highlights, is that when kids put the stuff together, you need to put at what point of the game are you making this play. So when I put the 4th and 6, or I put the 3rd and 18, that adds to what you're actually doing in that moment. So rather than you just seeing Andrew drop back and throw a bomb to you, hey, this is a second round playoff game, third and 18. We just gave up a score. You can go back and add all that in, because if it's a 3rd and 18 and they're dropping back and they're throwing it to you in double coverage like that,
hey,
then it adds to your film.
3 moments of that game, like you said, gave up that touchdown the first drive. 3rd and 18 after the penalties, dropped that dime to Lonnie, tied the game up. Turns around, he makes a pick, makes a good grab for a pick.
Yeah.
He made a play on that ball to make that pick, and then immediately turns around and gets like a 40-something yard touchdown catch again to put him up 14-7, and they never look back after that.
Barely caught that. I was just hitting record as the play started. That's why it starts off small and then it zooms out because I had just hit record.
And then the last one that was the big one was when it was late in the game and they needed to kind of get a touchdown to keep that momentum going, and he broke to the inside. The defender was there. Andrew placed a really good ball, and you saw him go out, grab that ball, bring it in, and go across the goal line. And that was when I was like, okay, Lonnie's on a whole nother level tonight.
Yeah. Because after that catch, I just remember the entire sideline was just like,
man. And that's the point of this show we started, is to get kids like Lonnie, hopefully some kind of exposure in there, because to be just buried in that mix that he's down in Corpus Christi, Texas. He did that against above San Antonio competition. I mean, it's just, that kid deserves a shot somewhere, and that's only a sophomore kid. He's got so much more room to grow as a football player. Mentally, he's there physically and athletically, which that's only going to get better, but there's a mental game to it as well that I think he's going to develop the next year and a half, because they got very good coaching over there. And that's one of the things that they talk about all the time is working with Lonnie to get him to that next level. So it's nice to see that kind of getting some traction going,
Yeah, definitely. And that's like, the same thing. Like I've known Andrew the last couple years, and that's the same thing that I want to do with kids anywhere. So if y'all send me a kid's name or something, I'll definitely give them a look and try to do whatever it is that I can, and do an article on them or something like that. I know I'll be able to do something on the Rivals website like I did with Andrew. So
it's crazy to me that Andrew's only got one legit offer right now. You know what I mean? Like after that game right there, he should have had like 2 to 3 offers from, I could name a list of schools right now in Texas that could benefit off him within a year or two, just going to their campus. It just blows me away that he's only got one legitimate offer. And it's it's a good school. Texas Southern, that's a good offer. But still, I'm sitting there thinking like, man, like Texas State TSA really couldn't use this kid. Like, I just kind of blows me away a little bit thinking about that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, even schools outside of Texas. I mean,
sure.
I see kids decommitting, and anytime a kid from Texas or anybody decommits, I'm on them. And I mean, I know Andrew's committed, but I still send his stuff. I still send Cannon Williams stuff out because that's another kid that I'm like, and he's not committed yet, but I'm like, y'all schools, I don't know what y'all are looking for, but and they're good kids. It'd be different if it was be like, hey, there's a risk with this one.
Yeah,
it's like, well, there's no risk and there's performance right here. So
exactly, Andrew's a good kid all the way through. I mean, he's been nothing but intelligent, good young man. Yes sirs, no sirs. When we've spoken to him or been around him, he's a good leader in the locker room. Heck, he's been on the varsity level playing for this way for 4 years. That's experience in itself. So it's just crazy.
And then for the pedestal, and this is a little bit deja vu I just got right now. For this,
we lost him.
Hello?
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. We kind of it froze up there for a little bit.
Kudos to Texas Southern because, I mean, all it takes is that one offer and understanding how hard that coach is recruiting him even still right now lets me know how much they really genuinely want and understand what type of talent that they're getting with Andrew. So also kids, and everyone knows the quarterback who decommitted and then committed somewhere else, and now you have a receiver who just followed him, and You know, it's like if talent is going to follow talent and it doesn't matter what school it's at, then that's definitely something that should be happening with Andrew. There's no way you can have somebody in the top 5 of all-time Texas passing yards or who's about to be, and that's not appeasing to receivers. You know, I mean, and that's a pitch in itself for Texas Southern.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I think the fact they're still recruiting him means that he's definitely a prime candidate to be a focal point of that team in the near future.
Definitely.
And the fact that they're still recruiting him kind of also makes me believe that they're worried he's going to start getting a couple more offers here or there. Because if they didn't think he'd get any more offers, they'd probably be signed, sealed, check in here or there, make sure he's still good. But if you're still actively recruiting, you know, that means you at least think there's a possibility that someone else might throw an offer out there. And who knows, Texas Southern might be his thing where he wants to go. But to me, I feel like he should at least get a couple more offers, even if that's just to make you feel good type of deal. But
exactly. And then, you know, like not ever being in that position, of course, but a question I would ask is, okay, so what is it now that I've put out there that got this offer? You know, not necessarily from a defensive point, but the question is like, you know, I've been doing this, you know, and maybe this is like the wrong train of thought to have, because I mean, you appreciate every offer you get. But I think it's just interesting when schools do show up, and, you know, even maybe more than San Antonio, because I know a lot of San Antonio kids get slow played because people like, you know, to get a one up on people and be like, oh, well, how come we didn't know about this kid?
Yeah.
Oh, well, what about him the whole time? And, you know, then you have schools coming in late, and these big schools will be like, hey, you know, I'm such and such. I want to give you a full ride. And it's like, you know, you just forget that the recruiting game is a game.
True.
So.
True.
All right. Well, we are at an hour and a half.
Are you gonna be at the game this Friday?
Actually, Friday I will be, because I have to work Friday night. So, but luckily Wagner Judson is at 1:00, so I'll be able to make that game before going to work. And Coach Gomez and my photographer Mario will be at the Miller game. And Coach Gomez is actually really close with the Body family. He's the one who introduced me to Andrew and to his dad Rick. So along the wire will be in the building. So it just won't be. Saturday I have the UTSA game. So I'll be at the Alamo Dome down there for that.
Gotcha. Yeah, tell them look me up.
Oh, definitely will.
Yeah, I won't be making the trip. Spud will be making the trip up there. I may go out to the Vets Victoria West game. I got to work the next day, and I like to get some sleep, so I won't be heading up there and then coming back. I won't be doing that out and back, so I'll probably stay local. That's a big one too. That Vets Victoria West game. That's essentially a district title right there.
That's got a lot more weight to it than I think what people are giving that game credit for as well.
Yeah.
Getting to that, but I'm just throwing that out there right now. That right there is the district championship decider.
Yep. Unless if West wins it, then they still got to go through Flower Bluff, which again, so you know, if and then it creates a whole 3-way tie for first and that whole thing.
They beat Vets. They beat Vets, and they do it not by fluke where it took a trick play or something. I think they close out Flower Bluff as well, because I'm not dogging Flower Bluff. I just think Vets is that good of a team, and Vets closed out Bluff a lot easier than I think people thought.
So I don't know if anybody's going to get this far in the show, but I just saw right now that Rio Sports will not be broadcasting the Miller game. Texan Live has the broadcast rights for it, so we'll be streamed on Texan Live for a fee of $7.95 per game.
Yeah.
And Sid and Wimberley also will be on Texan Live. 364 Sports will not be streaming that game as well.
At 2:00.
What's that?
Sitting in Wimberley.
What about it?
2:00 game.
I think so.
All
2
right,
o'clock at 2:00 at DW Rutledge. They're in Judson or in Converse.
That's gonna be
That's
a
where
good
that
game
game will
too.
be. So that'll be streamed as well for $7.95 a pop on Texas.
Yeah.
So Cal Allen hadn't seen anything on that one yet. If that who's going to be picking, I would imagine Texan Live is going to pick up the stream on that one too. And that's a Friday night game in Pleasanton, so it should be good weather for that one. The Cal Allen LBJ game.
It's in Jordanton.
No, they changed it because somebody else got Jordanton. Yeah, so
Wow.
it's in Pleasanton. Yeah.
Jeez.
And I think that's all we got left, right? Refugio, we talked about Refugio already. They'll be Friday night in Victoria. So, and that wraps up our Coastal Bend teams, doesn't it?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, we're down to the last
Wait,
4.
I couldn't believe that El Campo lost.
Oh
Yeah.
dude. You're
Did you?
telling me, dude, that opened up Region 3 big time.
Brock lost too. Did you see that?
Yes, too.
Yeah. I want to say Granbury.
It was Grandview. Grandview. Hey, people sleep on Grandview. They made a state run a year or two ago. The Zebras. Everyone's tripping.
Well, that's not who they lost to.
Was it Pleasant Grove?
No, I'd have to look it up. I have to look it up again. But Brock lost. They weren't supposed to lose and they lost.
All right, I got you.
So
I thought it was Grandview.
Yeah, no, Grandview won state last year. They're going for back-to-back this year. Or they're going for a three-peat. I don't remember.
I do feel though that the state champ is coming out of Region 4.
For
Division 1 4A.
Oh, I don't know about that. As much as I'd love to say it, I don't know about that. I think those boys from Argyle may have something to say about that.
I know.
Hey, don't be excited.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Man, it would be nice if somebody from Region 4 could.
Argyle and La Vega play this week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the rematch.
Yeah. I think Argyle handled them pretty well during the regular season. So
I know who's going to win 4A D2 though. It's Carthage, no doubt. No, there's no doubt about that. They've already handled Gilmer and they've already handled Pleasant Grove in the regular season, and those are the only 2 legitimate matchups that they're going to have the rest of the way. So unless they have some type of just horrific meltdown, you pretty much 4A D2 is going to Carthage, by the way. So don't even look at it.
Yeah, probably right.
I know they haven't done y'all's bracket, or I'm not sure if y'all have talked about it yet, but I got Miller Argyle state championship.
That'd be nice to see.
Who do you got Region 3? Was it El Campo?
It was El Campo, but now I'm gonna roll with Kilgore since they. That's just something that I always do. I'm like, if someone takes out who I had going,
roll with them.
Yeah, then I'm with them. Yeah.
Send me your brackets on Instagram. I'm curious to see what you got, and I'm curious to see what I do differently.
Okay.
I don't do one. I just fly by the seat of my pants.
Hey, and then we'll do a 6A and 5A one together.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Definitely. All right, folks. We're we haven't done a show this long in a while. We're at a little over an hour and a half. Hope you guys stay till the end. Brandon, thanks for your insight. We got into everything: playoffs, recruiting, 6A, 5A. Brandon's a wealth of knowledge. If you're not following him on Twitter already, Brandon, you want to give him your Twitter handle? Your
Twitter handle is bdammone, BDAMMONE. On Instagram, it is at Along the Wire. On Facebook, it is Along the Wire Cast. So Twitter at bdammone.
All right, guys. He's a great follow. He's very plugged in. He's got a lot of great information out there. Give him a follow and watch the show. He's got a pretty good show that comes out. What do you do? 2 a week?
I do 1 a week. We just switched up from filming on Saturday mornings to Sunday mornings. Man, after that Saturday night game, it was tough. It was tough getting up Sunday morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're doing Sunday filming, and I'll try to have it out by Sunday evening, Monday morning for the week.
All right, guys. Along the Wire. Brandon, thanks again for hopping in. Spud, I'll see you tomorrow at work. And we'll see you guys after. You guys have a happy holidays. And hopefully we'll be back next week talking some more football. Hopefully our guys advance. Guys, we'll see you again next week, and we'll figure something out. Later.
Later.